What's up, everyone? My name is Rick, and these are the Dreadful Minutes. So this is going to be yet another contest entry video. This will be for Metal Marty Mac, who is based out of Ireland, and he has reached 400 subscribers. Although I just checked, he's at 450. So he's almost at the big 5 already, which is pretty cool. I wish I knew about his channel much sooner. Getting better at, sort of getting the algorithm to, help me discover some of those other metal YouTubers overseas. US for me is easy, for some reason. But I think that for what he has going for this theme, for this contest, there's been a lot of entries, which is pretty cool. And on the surface, it doesn't sound all that interesting in this grand scheme because, being about skulls, it's like being a metalhead, it's unavoidable. It's like death and taxes, right? You're gonna run into it in some form or another. So he wants us to show basically albums that show, skulls. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, very easy. So I did a poll of just vinyl. I'm not gonna mix it up with all kinds of formats and stuff and get all clumsy. So yeah. First of all, yeah, you notice my backdrop is different now. So why not show one of the most iconic skulls? Right here. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Everyone knows his cover. Everyone knows his album. Quite cool. Very nightmarish. But before I begin, there is one thing in question, and this is a band, metallic hardcore band, Integrity. And you may know this. And it's always being called out as a skull. I've always found it a little weird and quirky. It's just as vampiric. So I guess it's skull-ish, skull-like. And yeah, it's an 8-track. This is the Bitter Melody put this out. So this is yeah, so I got all 3. So this is the Those Who Fear Tomorrow, Systems Overload, and Humanity's Devil. So there's Mr. Good himself. So, I don't know. Just great to have a little piece of novelty like this to hang on to. I don't actually have an 8-track player, funny enough. But then again, how many of you do, right? So, the reason I bring it up is because there's this little comic that came out in the late 80s called Blood. This, issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, and then we have issue 4. So, you put these side by side. They look a little familiar. Yeah, so it's really a vampire. They got transformed into a skull-like artifact that will eventually be used for his logo. So I thought that was a neat little piece of tidbit to show. But, a lot of people don't know that it came from this. Anywho, let's get on with it. And start with what I pulled here. First one's up is Canis Dirus, and this is the 2020 release, Independence to the Beast. So you got these animal skulls, 2 of them actually. You could argue that it's one and it's just mirrored. But man, if you have not checked this out whatsoever, you are really missing out. Especially if you're into black metal. It's just it's 2 guys. There's a 3rd member in the band now, and this is probably my favorite release of that year. Helped me get through the initial stages of the pandemic, let's just say. Very creative, very sharp riffing, cold where it needs to be, very atmospheric when it's appropriate. There's moments when it shreds, and you can get it at the Vine Room store. And it's just, and to this day, this is just something that still wows me, and, gonna stop gushing about it. But Canis Dirus, Independence to the Beast, excellent release. Check out their back catalog too, if you haven't. It's a little different, but I think it's just as interesting. Next one up here, we got Master of Cruelty. So this is another one that's blatantly obvious. Yeah, take your pick. So again, this is from South America. So I don't have a lot of releases from Paraguay. I got a lot from Brazil and Chile, and they got a few from Argentina and so on and so forth. But this is an interesting place. So I'm not sure what the metal scene's like there in general, but this right here, it's just as evil as it looks. This is, think Grave Desecrator, with elements of a bit of that 80s sort of bestial evil of, sarcophago and and whatnot. So yeah, so if that's pitching a tent for you, this is definitely something you should definitely uh, get a load of. So that came out in 2016. I think that's their second full length, and you know, I don't know. Supposedly they're not on hiatus, but they haven't released anything in a while. So I don't know what that's about. This one here is actually not metal. Uh, this is more like a I don't know. It's like rock. It's early garage rock with proto punk elements. So this is a relatively new band out of Texas called the OBN3s. There you go. It's got a very retro look to it. You look at this, and you go, this is something that could have came out easily in the 70s, early 80s or whatnot. So this is their debut album, the one and only. Came out in 2011. So you got the guys here, and it's just cool. If you like the old Stooges, MC5, and it just with some elements of that proto punk element, these guys are really good. It's got that you would think this is something that came out during that era. I think lately, I think their last release, they removed some of the retro kind of filtering in their sound, but it's still quite catchy. But if you have not explored this band and you like that kind of stuff, it's just 70s garage rock kind of material. These guys do it right. OBN3s. Thought that's just a really interesting treatment with the skull and the whole candle effect. All right, next we have a band from North Carolina, and they've been around a little while, over a decade, I think a little over a decade. So this is Bloody Hammers, and this is their 2017 EP, and it's set up to look like a soundtrack. And there she is, holding the skull right there. Look, a nice little horned skull over here, just kind of supervising, just making sure things are going to plan. Really cool. So this is a husband and wife act, and Andres Manga is basically the main dude, the brains behind a lot of this. I know she does a lot of the sort of keyboard work and whatnot, and I think she does some bass work with this band. And yeah, they're more of that sort of a gothic-y, retro kind of soundings, almost fuzzy enough to be put in a sort of stoner kind of category, but I wouldn't quite call them stoner metal per se, but I think it would appeal to people who love the stuff that kind of caliber. Very quick and easy EP to get through. Just some fun rock, hard metal rock. They're not like thrash, and they don't dive bomb or anything like that. It's not that kind of material. It's basically kind of what you think it is. Very horror inspired, keyboard driven, a little bit of Cemetery Fog thrown into their stuff. So really cool. Another one here is, I'm surprised nobody has shown this, not for this particular contest, that I've seen anyway. That is the debut for Suicidal Tendencies. Everybody knows this, crossover thrash band, and so you're probably going, well, where are the skulls? If you look very closely, it's not on that main image. It's actually on the surrounding border here. Look at all the t-shirts, and it's like everybody's got skulls in some form or another all over here. It's just there you go. Even goes towards the back, so you can see it a little clearer. All the skulls activity happening. There you go. So yeah, Suicidal Tendencies. These guys love their skulls. Next up, now coming out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, two of my favorite things to come out of there are Mortal Skull and Vile Aggression. This is their Expound and Extort debut, and I haven't seen anybody showing this one quite yet. And some great early '90s death metal. You know, this when the demo that came out was more like a very harsher kind of thrash, very aggressive, very in your face, kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's all right here in the background, and you even got a guy here who's kind of being stepped on for some reason. So I don't know, but pretty cool nevertheless. If you're not looking too carefully, you may not notice it. You may just think it's a mountain scene of some sort. But there's your skull. Very familiar image if you know the band and you know you're on the ground metal. Another one here is classic band out of Switzerland. Krokus, Headhunter. This is their '83 album. Kind of cool, nice chrome looking skull there. And yeah, so this is, I don't know, to me they're basically, I don't know, it's like Scorpions meets AC/DC. You know, hard rocking, you know, classic metal sounding kind of stuff. I think this is one of their strongest albums. So if you're going to check them out, I would say definitely start with this one. You know, in my opinion. It's really, really cool. I think another thing that they didn't have to do this, but they decided to get a little cute with it and turn themselves into skulls. Right here, check that out. Very, very cool. That may have inspired my idea for the thumbnail for this video. Next up here we have a band out of New York, still apparently active. So this is their second full length. There's another one that hasn't released anything in a while. So I don't know, like, you know, if there's ever going to be another album in the works. So this is Serpentine Path, Emanations. Has some really cool kind of gloss treatment here happening. So the skull is actually right here. I was afraid it wouldn't show up well on camera, but if you can catch it there in the light, there you go. The gloss may obscure it. So it's some kind of lizard guy, you know, called Serpentine Path, right? So there's going to be snakes involved. So maybe I'll pull this for a snakes contest, you know, someone puts one together. Great band. You know, I think it has the X bases of Electric Wizard, and the guitars for Winter, you know, another classic doom, heavy as hell, man, band. This right here is, I don't know, like in my mind, when I listen to this, it's like, kind of reminds me of almost like if an American version of, you know, Hood and Menace, you know, maybe a little sludgier, you know, so it's just really, really good stuff. Definitely check that out. Check out their debut too. Also just as good. Now, I did mention Hood and Menace. So, if you've been watching my videos, there's a theme going on here. I like the band. Anyway, so this is one of their several EPs. This is Labyrinth of Carrion Breeze. And this is another one where you like, take your pick. Really cool. Like the sort of, I don't know, just that whole crazy, just, you know, just erratic color scheme going on here. Just makes everything look rawer and dirtier. Very, very cool. I could have shown Tritona's Bell from last year, but I think somebody else already shown that. And this EP, I do not see it being shown around very frequently, if at all, you know. But I don't know. This band in my eyes does no wrong. Okay. Let's go back to New York. And we have an '87 release of speed thrash here. And this is one of those silly covers. Even for its time, I think it's just completely crazy. So this is EXC, stricken by might, and yeah, that's a pretty ugly face. So the skull, where is that thing? Oh yeah, here we go. This is a little guy right here. That little guy right there, and this is great. You know. Is it the best thrash ever made? No, but it's definitely a very fun listen. You know, let me dork out for a minute here. You know, it's like compositionally, because the art guy in me just can't help but notice that, you know, we got the little pillar here kind of being broken down. It would have made the composition all off from an art perspective. But if you notice, like, you got that moon here, and you got that little skull here. So if that moon wasn't there, it would have made everything look sort of off balance. All right, I'll stop nerding out. This one here, this is a brand spanking new one, and I don't think anybody has shown this. So this is Dio, Double Dose of Donnington. So this is a picture disc, and I believe this artwork is completely new for this, so it's never before seen, as far as I know. So the skulls are actually on side B here. It's just 2 tracks. We have Stand Up and Shout from the Holy Diver album, and Rock and Roll Children from Sacred Heart, I believe. Yeah. So 83, 87. Just fucking rad, man. This is just a cool little thing. I bought it mostly for the artwork, to be honest. So, you know, I paid a little more than I normally would for 2 tracks for this. But really cool thing. Dio's one of my favorite artists of all time, so it didn't take too much coaxing. Next up. This is a black metal band out of the UK. They call it Cumbrian Black Metal. This was put out by Death Cult Productions, which doesn't even go by that name anymore. I think it's Go Prayer or something like that nowadays. So this is Thy Dying Light, and this is Cold in Death. So this is one of the several EPs that they put out, several releases. This band I don't believe is active anymore. They have not released anything since 2020, I believe, since they're that full length. But there you go. I don't know if that skull is real or not. And be a very interesting prop. But yeah, so that's just 2 members. So we got this Azrael guy and Horafin. I don't even know how you say it. It's near his signature here. And hell, even the Death Cult's logo had a skull on it. This is the old school logo before they changed it. It had several iterations. Shit, man. But this is some cold stuff. Not just because it's called Cold in Death. It's pretty cold sounding stuff. Horafin, I think nowadays runs a Wolf Hair record label, and if you know that band Nefarious Dusk, so these 2 guys were involved in Nefarious Dusk. Though I don't think Azrael is no longer in that band. But if you like this kind of material, definitely check out Nefarious Dusk. I kind of like Nefarious Dusk a little more, just as a project. So that's that. Next up, we have a band from St. Louis, Missouri, and this came out last year, I believe. This is The Lion's Daughter with Skin Show, and this album, let me show it right here. So here's if you're looking for the skull, it's that little teeny tiny thing right here. Look how cute that is. Really hard to see, right? If you're not really looking very carefully for it. It's got a very eerie, cold kind of vibe to it. You probably would be it's very unsettling if you were in that room. But if you're wondering what the skull looks like just overall, ooh, what is that? There you go. Yeah, very, very strange. This band, this is one of those bands where I gave them several chances because they were very intriguing, but they never were able to hold my attention for very long. I think it was the last 2 releases, and it just became background music after a while. I think with this one here, they hit it out of the park, and they incorporated elements. This is almost like if a sludge band decided to sound like a John Carpenter soundtrack, So it's a very interesting stuff going on here with the just the compositions and the atmosphere is very eerie, almost movie-like, and at times. But this is the one that definitely held my attention, kept my interest, and just a great release overall. So I hope they continue on with what they did here going forward. They definitely have progressed. And next one here is one I don't see shown too much either, and that's because it's a live album. So I know that in people's collections it's probably not a priority, and that is Death Angel with Fall from Grace. So this right here, you can see the skull right there. I believe this painting is actually unique to the album. I don't think it's some kind of old Renaissance painting or anything like that. Sometimes I have to look just to be sure with these things. So yeah, so you're probably wondering why there's no logo. So this right here, when Death Angel signed with Enigma and then later moved to Geffen, this has tracks from Ultraviolence and Frolic in the Park. And the reason you don't see Act 3 here is because they were on Geffen by the time that one came out. So this came out when they were already on Geffen. So it was a bit of a mix-up there. So I figured that's a huge reason why the logo is not there. Why Enigma, when they put this out, decided to... but this issue right here has a Metal Blade logo. I guess they licensed it under them or something. I'm not sure. But I know this was put out by Geffen originally. It's a great little live album. Again, it's just material. I think recorded in '88, I believe, and it's just tracks from their first 2 full lengths. So nice sort of one to have in the collection. I just happen to just really love that cover art too. Not having a logo sort of obstructed. So very hanging frameable. This one doesn't need much of an introduction, but I think some people have showed some Autopsy stuff. So this is their skull grinder. So I'm just showing it off because I don't think anybody has shown this particular one right here. Another great release. This is another one where, to me, this band does no wrong. I think Autopsy, just great death metal band in general. Chris and Company, it just, they know what they're doing. So there's just grinding skull. Pretty sick. Got it turning into a hamburger and all that stuff in there. Yeah, so did it need the fangs? I don't know. Pretty gruesome enough as it is, but couldn't hurt, right? And last one for today is going to be a release that I was 100% nobody was going to show, and this is a band out of Spain, and this is Spectrum Mortis. So I'll put the name here so you'll remember. And this is Blasphemir Nomen Kies? Yes, not sure. Again, I'll leave the name down here. And not sure what it means, but man, this to me, this is their first EP. It came out in, I want to say 2016, and this is a 10 out of 10. No joke. There's your skulls right here in the burning crucifixes, and on the surface, this looks total black metal. And there is some does have a blackened change of feel to it. But this is more doomy death metal. If stuff like Father Befouled mixed with elements of Necro Christos, is appealing to you, maybe a little bit of Mortuary Drape, so you kind of know what the territory where I'm heading. Even Sortegos, I think that's another Spanish band. If you like that kind of stuff, this is totally up your alley. Quite evil, definitely will hit the spot. But those are my picks. Congratulations, Marty, with 400. Now at 450. I don't know if you're gonna do one for 500. Maybe it'll be Show Snakes. I don't know. But it's been fun. And hoping that I win as usual. But regardless, doing these kind of things are always fun, whether you win or not. And it's always awesome to see everybody's selections throughout all this. So I'll leave it at that, and y'all keep it dreadful.